Hey guys, Anthony here from Geek Authority, from Comic Stash. This is kind of unusual. We don't normally do videos like this. I'm in the Antwerp garden, and I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the passing of Stan Lee. As you probably heard, he passed away this week at the age of 95. Stan Lee is known for being the co-creator of some of the most popular comic book characters of all time, like Spider-Man, Thor, Iron Man, Hulk, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, if I haven't said them already. He's a massive influence on my life, and to say that he's a big influence on me is an understatement. I literally left a great paying job in the States to move back to Lebanon to try and sell comic books and to try and spread the gospel of vintage comics and the work of Stan Lee and amazing artists like Steve Ditko, who passed away just a few months ago, artists like Jack Kirby, amazing writers. And to hear that someone like Stan Lee passed away, even though he was 95 years old, it's still kind of hard to learn. Stan Lee's been old most of my entire life. Ever since I found out about him, or ever since I heard about Spider-Man for the first time, Stan Lee was already in his 70s. So I've been mentally preparing for this day, but it doesn't get any easier. And not only is he a huge influence on me when it comes to the things that I like comic books or movies and stuff, also in my approach to how I create content. It's very all-encompassing, and I just wanted to take a second to just sort of share this with you guys because I don't really know how else to do this or how else to process this information. But I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you to Stan. You've changed my life. I almost got a chance to meet Stan Lee a few years ago, but he canceled his appearance at the event where I was supposed to go to. And I kind of knew that would have been my only opportunity to meet him. And I think about that day almost every day. And the fact that I wasn't able to meet him. But I take heart in knowing that his work has lived on. He got to live to see his work reach so many people, hundreds of millions of people. The most popular movies right now in theaters are Marvel movies. They're his creations. And that makes me very happy. Selfishly, also, as a person who sells comic books, that helps me, but that's not what we're here to talk about. I just wanted to share some fun anecdotes or things that you may not have known about Stan Lee. Like, for example, his real name is Stanley Martin Lieber. And the only reason he changed his name to Stan Lee back in the day was because he was ashamed of being a comic book writer. And the comic book industry was very taboo. Writing for comics wasn't seen as a respectful thing. So he literally didn't want to use his real name, and he used the name Stan Lee. Now, of course, his name is synonymous with superheroes, with comic books in general. Whether you're thinking DC or Marvel, you think Stan Lee, you think comic books. You don't think DC or Marvel. And it's nice to see how far we've come. Stan not only was a great influence when it came to creating characters, like for example, what made Stan Lee's characters different from Superman or Batman? Well, he humanized them. He gave people with extraordinary abilities, ordinary problems, ordinary lives, and it was seeing that balance play out that made them stand out. He made it okay for people to be different. He made it okay for people to be nerds, to be geeks, and not be persecuted. He made me be comfortable with who I am. I was always shy, I was always kind of nerdy, kind of geeky, and I found comfort in Spider-Man. I found comfort in the stories that he told. And that is more true today than it was when I was an 11-year-old kid watching Spider-Man for the first time on the big screen. That movie changed my life, his work changed my life. It's just, I want to share that with you guys. Also, I'd say Stan is more known for obviously like characters like Spider-Man and the X-Men and Iron Man, but when you ask him, and if you watch a lot of interviews with Stan like I have throughout my life, you'll know that. In fact, to recommend something, I'd recommend that you guys check out Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer, I think, was Stan's favorite character because it was an opportunity for Stan Lee to put his thoughts into that character. Silver Surfer was a conduit for Stan Lee's ideas, and Stan Lee was very anti-war. He's a kind of a hippie in many ways, and there are a lot of parts of just Silver Surfer floating above Earth, talking about how beautiful this planet is and how unfortunate it is that we're all fighting and killing each other over resources. Another favorite character of Stan's is Daredevil. A lot of people, again, will assume that it's Spider-Man or something, but Daredevil meant a lot to Stan Lee because when he created that character, Marvel received a record amount of fan mail of people that were grateful for the creation of a blind superhero or a character with a disability that could overcome that disability and be greater than he would otherwise be. I don't know why I'm telling you guys this stuff. Again, I think this is just part of the process. And again, the influence he's had on the comic book industry cannot be overstated. He literally birthed the Silver Age of comic books with the Fantastic Four. Stan Lee was on the verge of leaving Marvel. And it wasn't until his wife, Joan Lee, who passed away, I think 1 year ago, told him, Stan, before you leave, write a comic the way you want to write it. Write the characters the way you want to write them. If they hate it, they'll fire you. Either way, you want to leave. So we created the Fantastic Four. It was this family of superhuman beings, but that had real world problems. And the massive success of Fantastic Four led to the creation of Spider-Man, of Iron Man, of Thor, Hulk, Avengers, Ant-Man, all these characters that are making hundreds of millions of dollars in theaters. Stan was the man behind them. And that all came from the success of Fantastic Four, which was brought upon by the encouragement of his wife, Joan Lee, which we also can't forget. I'm going to cut this short because I honestly don't really know where this is going. I just really want to talk to you guys about this and talk about Stan a little. If you're wondering how he got his start, it's another fun fact. He actually started in the military by writing sort of like instruction pamphlets for the military, and he tried to write them in an amusing way, in a funny way, and that sort of led to him getting a job at Timely Comics at the time, which became Marvel Comics years later. It's a very interesting story. I would definitely recommend you guys watch Stan Lee's Mutants, Monsters, and Marvels. It's a very in-depth interview with Kevin Smith that was done about 15 years ago, but it holds up. There's a lot of valuable information in there. I would recommend you to pick up any Stan Lee comic book and read it this week, just to honor the guy. It could be an old Spider-Man comic, it could be a new Spider-Man comic written by Brian Michael Bendis, it doesn't matter. But the core ideas are still there. And I think the best way to honor Stan Lee is to be the best person you can be. Be kind to one another, be a real-life superhero, don't bully people for being different, accept people. One of the best things Stan Lee ever said was that he loved that Spider-Man had his face completely covered because anyone could see themselves under that mask. He didn't have to be white, he didn't have to be Asian, he could be black, he could be Asian, it doesn't matter. Spider-Man could be anyone. The X-Men turned out to be an allegory for homosexuality or people who feel persecuted. Everything he created resonates on a deeper level. And it's very sad to say that Stan is gone. And on behalf of everyone at Heyoka, on behalf of everyone on Geek Authority, a show which would not exist without Stan Lee, I want to say thank you. Literally, we would not be here if it weren't for Stan. The only reason this show exists is to promote the Comic Stash, which sells old vintage comics. We just want to raise awareness about this stuff. We hope you guys go pick up some comics, not because of Stan Lee. Don't go buy them from the stash. Buy them online, buy them at Virgin. I don't care. Just buy some comics, read some comics, watch the movies, show them to your kids, show them to your friends, encourage people to be better. And again, thank you, Stan, for changing my life. I would not be here without you. I would not be back in Lebanon if it weren't for you. The only way I can close this out is by saying Excelsior, which was his catchphrase. And for those of you who do not know what that means, it means onward and upward to greater glory. See you at the movie, Stan.